Battleline podcast. If you guys, for the new listeners, we usually interview people from the special operations community or people involved in that community. But every now and again, we do a Q&A episode. We answer your questions sent to battlelinepodcast@gmail.com. And that's exactly what this is. We haven't done one of these in a while. So some of these questions are from as long as 3 months ago. But we're going to answer them. We're going to get to all your questions and keep sending them in. We'll continue to do these now and again. Battlelinepodcast@gmail.com. We'll get into some news as well. I wrote down a few things. I mean, there's plenty going on in the world, but this is a special guest-free episode. Before we get into that, what are you guys doing to keep your body strong during these times where immunity is paramount? And how does Ned fit into that? For us, Ned has been huge in terms of immunity. And if you've been reading the studies on what cannabinoids are doing, even in terms of COVID-19, very promising. And it's probably something that you want to put into your fitness and wellness regimen. So Ned is USDA certified organic. It's extracted from USDA certified organic hemp plants in Paonia, Colorado. And their products are science-backed, nature-based solutions that offer an alternative to prescription and over-the-counter drugs. They also have their incredible Distress Blend, a 1-1 formula of CBD and CBG, which is made from the world's purest full-spectrum hemp. And it's USDA certified organic. So they have full transparency. They actually share third-party lab reports and who farms their products and their extraction process all right there on their site. I know for me, during the winter months, during the colder months, I tend to have some joint pain and neck pain. And for me, CBD has actually really helped me out with that a lot. That's been huge in my life.
Yeah, it does help with inflammation. I can attest to that. Working out myself quite a bit, actually 6 to 7 days a week, and then having ulcerative colitis or inflammatory bowel disease, if for those that want to call it IBD, it has actually straightened that out as well. And the inflammation that inflammatory bowel disease sufferers have, and we get a lot of joint inflammation. It has taken that out, completely taken it out. And I'm not saying just a little bit. I mean, it's gone, which allows me to work out 6, 7 days a week and still run. And my joints don't hurt and I can recover quicker. It's become part of my healthy living and it's natural. It's tremendous. We've both been on using CBD for over a year now, close to
2 years.
2 years. See, that's why you're there, but that's why we're full transparency. But also, then Ian mentioning the full transparency, that's extremely important because we know our listeners trust this podcast. They trust the people that sponsor this podcast, and being fully transparent on what's in them is important to our listeners, and it's important to me. So yeah, guys, if you haven't tried Ned, try the CBD. And also the body butter, especially for you guys that work out there. It's tremendous. It's a life changer since I've started taking it.
Yeah, absolutely. When we had Chad Solomon on the show, who's an Iron Man, he uses the body butter, and we're gonna have the guys from Ned on in a couple of months, I believe, or next month. So if you have any questions, you can shoot them over because they'd be glad to answer any of your questions on CBD, on hemp. And if you'd like to give Ned a try, Battleline listeners get 15% off Ned products with the code Battleline. Visit helloned.com/Battleline to get access. That's HELLONED.com/Battleline to get 15% off. Thank you, Ned, for sponsoring the show and offering our listeners a natural remedy for some of life's most common health issues. The link to that will be right in the description. And we have a brand new sponsor on board. You heard us talk about them last week. We're really thrilled to have them on board. And check this out. If you're 35 or older and you currently feel like you're lacking that primal motivation, drive, and energy you used to, you really have to check out BioPro Plus. Here's the deal. Every year after puberty, your growth hormone decreases, sometimes by 50% by the age of 35, and it only keeps going down from there. It doesn't matter how in shape you are or how good your diet is. It's happening to every one of us. That right there is where BioPro Plus comes in. It's the first of its kind. It's 100% non-synthetic, and it's an alternative to prescription HGH growth hormone treatments. It immediately replaces what your body is no longer getting, and it does it naturally without the needles, nasty side effects, or expensive cost of the typical synthetic growth hormone treatment. So if you want to fix your performance in the gym, bedroom, chronic fatigue, and pain, or even just how you look in the mirror, you need to check them out. And Chris, you've had tremendous results, I know.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that 2 weeks in, and I have seen massive results in not only recovery, My sleep has actually gotten better, and I do take the PM Bio Pro Plus as well. But also, I can see, and my wife can see, I'm starting to get toned again. Starting to get that toned look where you can see the striations in the muscles. And granted, you got to put the work in, guys. You do have to put the work in as far as getting the workouts in, running, doing cardio, so forth, stretching. But man, BioPro Plus has taken me back to when I was in my early 30s. I feel great. It has shocked the hell out of me, as well as it's done in just 2 weeks' time. Guys, if you are, especially you guys going over 50, I'm going to turn 51 in a couple weeks. Try it. You're not going to be disappointed in it. You're going to see the results, and you're going to start to see them quickly, which is going to make you want to go to the gym even more and running even more. So BioPro Plus has been amazing, and it's brought everything into full circle with Ned, Bub's Naturals, now BioPro Plus. Man, I've got everything. Everything has finally come together where I feel like I can go run a 10K again and run it well.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, amazing. We truly stand by all of our sponsors, and that's why we brought these guys on board. So you need to go to bioproteintech.com. Battleline listeners will receive $30 off by using the code Battleline at checkout while supplies last. That's bioproteintech.com. And you'll get $30 off by using the code Battleline at checkout. They're seeing great results from our listeners checking them out, and we're glad to see you guys checking them out. So once again, bioproteintech.com. Use the promo code Battleline. Let's go.
From Omaha, Nebraska to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Twitch is on. Motherfucker, I'm going to shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
You know, Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battleline podcast.
The switch is on, Battleline podcast, and we have some great questions from you guys, the listeners. There's plenty of news going on in the world. I mean, you know, the inevitable, people are saying World War III stuff. We've kind of covered that before. I don't know what's going to happen. I was just talking to my friend who, we joke around because everybody on the internet says, like, I am not a financial advisor. My friend George is an actual financial advisor. And even people who really know their stuff in terms of finances are very panicked right now because everything is down. Stock market, crypto, it really doesn't matter what you're invested in right now. Nothing is safe. I'm certainly experiencing this. Housing costs going up. Healthcare costs certainly not doing any better. And I just don't know how the country doesn't spiral into chaos when, you know, we always, for years, have talked about the shrinking middle class. But I mean, I think people are really feeling it now. Rising gas prices. I mean, unless you're a part of the ultra wealthy, and even some of those people have a huge portion of their net worth and, you know, involved in certain stocks or crypto, even those people are feeling it. So it's a strange time in America, not to be gloom and doom.
It is. And you go to the grocery store, food prices are up. You know, if you're your family, I can tell that, and I can attest to that. But we just grind through it. That's what you do. Yeah. You grind through it. You don't panic. That's what people that want control, they want people to panic, because then you can't control them with little enticements or little give and takes here. And not even takes. It's more takes, no gives. It's take. The thing is to not panic, and it's to trim the fat off what we have in our household, the stuff that we really don't need. You got to take that out. It's just normal. That's just how you live. That's how you adult. And then also when it's times for elections to come about, we elect smarter, or we look down the road. This is what you got to look. You got to look at these things down the road. And sometimes you can't foresee, but there's a lot of smart people out there. Ian's one of them. Ian is extremely intelligent.
I'm not running for anything.
I know, but he can foresee.
Neither of us, and you get propositioned all the time to run for something. I could definitively say neither of us will ever run for any office.
But if I did, Ian would be my political advisor, because the dude can foresee shit. But so I'm saying, we as people, we can foresee stuff, and if there's smoke, there's generally fire. And I think a lot of us foresaw this happening, or at least got an inkling, but we're like, we should never go into an election with who's not the worst case scenario. We just need to be smarter in what we do. But that being said, we're in it, can't do anything about it. Let's just keep grinding through it. That's what you do. And that's a lot of veterans can show that to people that haven't been in combat, that haven't seen a lot of hardness or tough lives, or even just a time when you thought you might die. What do? Do you quit? No, you keep grinding through it. You keep pushing through it, and then you keep looking for the positives and the silver linings. But you also have to look at your life and maybe restructure it a bit right now. And I've had to as well. I'm not the ultra rich. I would consider myself middle class. I've put a lot of money away. I haven't put a lot of it in stocks just because of this sort of stuff, but I do have money in stocks, and it goes up and down, and it always will. It'll always go up and down, guys. That's why you just fight your way through it. If you're watching your stocks just deteriorate, don't panic. Yeah, don't try to remove it out. And I'm not a financial advisor either. Yeah, I'm just saying from my experience, because I did make a mistake when we did have a it's not a depression, but we did have a recession. A recession, and I lost my ass, and I pulled everything out of it. Well, I didn't get nothing back. So basically, I even lost more by yanking everything out. And now I know that's not smart to do.
I would fully agree. I mean, I am obviously not a financial advisor as well, but all of us, no matter who you are, what your background is, we could all read charts and we could all look at what's happened in the past. And it's like, whether you look at the Dow Jones or the S&P or NASDAQ, and you look at the timeline of 5 years, 10 years, things inevitably do go up. And, increasingly, like, there are downturns, but in the long run, it always goes up. Yeah. And under this president, maybe we're going to see a really long downturn. That's possible, but I think we'll inevitably go back up. So I'd say, unless, you need that money for rent or something, or for your house, you probably should keep it in there and just try not to worry about it. With that, the other things I wanted to cover, a piece of unfortunate news, piece of good news. These are small things, but I just wanted to mention them. Or they're not small for the people involved. I shouldn't say small. I don't know if you were familiar with the Amazing Jonathan.
Oh yeah, dude, he was there. Wasn't that with the lemon juice? He used to cut his.
Yeah.
He was hilarious.
There was a great documentary on him. There were actually 2 documentaries, and I know he was going through health issues for years and years now, and he unfortunately passed away just a couple of days ago. And man, I've always been fascinated with that whole Vegas performer lifestyle. And he is a guy who lived that Vegas lifestyle. He was partying, doing drugs. It's well known. But seriously, what a talented guy who kind of meshed these aspects of magic and comedy and made them into one. And so I wasn't sure if you were familiar with him. I certainly was. I'd say rest in peace to the Amazing Jonathan.
Yeah, I love to stand up. Anybody that is talented and can make people laugh, I admire. I admire him. I don't care what side of the aisle you say you're on. I don't care. If you make people laugh, you're put on this. To me, you're a saint. You're an angel, because that's what people need. People need laughter. And Amazing Jonathan was. And that was kind of like a stand-up heyday when it started to get big and started to get popular again. I think we had a Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, and then between them we had a little lull, and then you got guys like Amazing Jonathan, who was another. He passed away just recently too. Gosh, he was on an Eddie Murphy movie. Big guy that was on Coming to America that passed away.
I don't know, because I was going to say the comedians who died recently. We lost Norm Macdonald and Bob Saget. Neither of them are heavy. So
yeah, but there's two other ones. That came on. I know if I said his name, you'd remember it. I don't know why I can't. I know listeners are going. They're yelling it out there. Hey, Tana, you idiot! But Amazing Jonathan.
Louis Anderson.
Louis Anderson. There you go.
Yeah.
And that was when they started to come back because of some of those shows that were not America's Got Talent. But there were those other shows where they would come on. And I want to say the Gong Show, but that's way before. So there was another one that Louis Anderson performed on that I actually saw. It was a late night show. And they were so funny. And Amazing Jonathan was one of those guys. That was just hilarious. And the stuff he could do with magic, but the way he performed and his excitement, I died on the floor laughing every time I saw him, and I loved watching him come on. And it was, it's just that was a special time, I think, when comedians and stand-up was really, really awesome. And then you did still have Eddie Murphy out there doing Raw, which you couldn't do Raw today, but it's still on, it's still showing. And I still think that's still one of the funnest comic bits to date. That you can't. The only people that can come close to that are the Dave Chappelle with those kind of stuff. But yeah, Amazing Jonathan, man, and having to do magic and implement it into comedy and doing it how he did it. That's hard to do. I mean, I couldn't do it. Shit.
No, I don't think there was anyone else like him doing that. And I've always thought, like I said, even just beyond his talents, the whole Vegas performer lifestyle, I think, is very interesting. So there's 2 documentaries. There's one you could watch for free on YouTube. There's one on Hulu. I know I haven't seen that one, but yeah, you might want to watch it and learn more about the guy. So rest in peace to him, because that hit me. You know, I think he was a great performer. And then in terms of good news, I thought this was pretty cool. I saw that Puddle of Mudd posted on their Facebook that, you know, their hit song Blurry hit 100 million views on YouTube. And so we have to say congratulations to friend of the show who did our theme music, who did the outro, and who was one of the writers on that song, of course.
Jimmy Allen.
None other than Jimmy Allen. Yeah. And, you know, he might not be a guy who gets the glory because he's not in the video, but that's his song. So
guys, definitely. That's the milestone, and he should. And if you don't follow Jimmy Allen, songwriter, go on Instagram, follow him, and just see how talented he still is to this date, and just that he's just a genuinely great guy. And for someone to even, you know, can you imagine? Who would have thought that we'd have somebody from the founding members of Puddle of Mudd do our intro? To me, that is an honor in itself. Because I love Puddle of Mudd. That was when I was a Ranger Battalion. That's when that grunge scene was huge. And you had the Funky Monkey out there in Washington. And, you know, to grow up in the North, I not say grow up, but to be in the Army and a Ranger Battalion in the Northwest during the grunge scene. I look back on my life like how lucky was that to be in Tacoma, Seattle during that whole grunge scene, Pearl Jam, Puddle of Mudd, the Audio Slave, you know, was just starting to come out. Those guys. Yeah.
Although Puddle of Mudd was, because they're actually from the area you're from. They're closer to you. I mean, Kansas City guys.
They're Midwestern, but you know, that grunge scene, that was where it was at during that time, during the 90s, man. And I love that. Their stuff's still good. Blurry still, you could bring it out today and it still would be like it would still fit within the genre. And that's why they keep playing on Octane and Turbo all the time, because it's a classic. It will never, ever go away because it fits into every year, you know, every year. It's like, man, did they just make this song this year? No, they made it 40 years ago. It wasn't that long, Jimmy. I know it wasn't, but you know, it still rocks. And it's on my workout playlist, man. You got to have Blurry if you're going to be working out in the gym.
I think the whole Come Clean album is timeless. And when we had him on, I would have never asked Jimmy on, hey, write us a theme song. He just said, hey, you guys want to use this? Of course we're going to use it.
That's how a good guy he is. That just shows how awesome he is. And I think you should never judge a book by its cover. With musicians, guys, don't judge books. If that's one thing you can listen from this show, never judge a book by its cover, ever. Jimmy is just integrity galore, and he's super talented. Oh,
I think we have a question about him somewhere in here. So We'll get right to questions then, unless you have anything else you want to cover.
No, you know I talk too damn much. We better get going. I'm going to keep spilling. I'm just going to keep running in my mouth. Diarrhea. Dude.
It's good. We got plenty of questions, so we might as well try to hit them all. Well, there's a lot of stuff here because I'm even looking at everything else we have to hit here. Yeah,
that's awesome.
There's a lot.
Thank you guys for all that. Thanks for the question. Bring them. We love these shows. And honestly, they do. I mean, just from a statistical standpoint, and from what Ian tells, he follows that stuff, and he always lets me know, which is great. They do well, so we enjoy doing them. We're not going to stop doing them if they do well as far as listeners, because they are fun as well for us. So that's why would we stop doing these? So keep bringing the questions in. It just like I've always told people. And like I told Pat Robertson Jr. on the 700 Club, beware what you ask me, because you're going to get an answer. It may not be the one you want, but you're going to get an answer. So ask us, but I'm going to give you an answer.
Yeah.
That's it. So, okay.
I agree. So this one is actually from Michael Moore, not to be filmmaker Michael Moore. He sends us a lot of emails, and they're all great, but I obviously can't get to all of them. So I'm just going to get to the latest one that he wrote us. Chris, thank you for having Will Parrish on. So very enjoyable. Well, I am one of those RAMFs. Now, before we get into that, I was trying to figure out what an RAMF is, because I was looking up military acronyms. I see there's a REMF, rear echelon motherfucker, right?
Right. Maybe he made it. Yeah, because you're a REMF. You can be a rear echelon motherfucker. RAMF? I don't know. Maybe we need to. I don't know.
It could be a typo, but I was trying to figure that out. But he says, I was a heavy equipment operator. I cut LZs, kill perimeters, and aircraft recovery at Da Nang and Cam Ranh Bay. I never saw even an inkling of what he and other combat vets saw, but I am so very proud of my Air Force service in Vietnam. I feel what I did in country was an important contribution to the mission. I am grateful for his comments about RAMFs. It meant a lot to me. With best regards, and thank you, Michael Moore. I could say, man, I thought Willard Parrish was a great guest.
And maybe he's RAMS. No, man, I'm just trying. It's still killing me. I still keep going back to the British and saying Royal Airmen. But that's how I never. Anyway, hey, well, when we had a show, it was probably one of the first year we were doing a show, and there was a question, or somebody was on the show. And we were talking about standards, PT standards, and how the infantry standards shouldn't be the same as a RIF, as a support element. And this question right here, or should be this statement, and what Michael wrote is why I say yes. The standards always need to be upheld, and they need to be the highest standards. There shouldn't be a difference in standards. Basically, there's some physical differences, possibly because infantry guys are out there work physically a lot in comparison to somebody that goes into the office and does finance or so forth. But that is the importance of how the standards need to be upheld. If you lower any standard, well, then the people that are really running the bases, that are making sure the bases are going correctly, building the bases, making sure our pay, if you lower their standards, and their standards are going to keep lowering off everything. And as the Army or the military goes, it's a complete team. So everybody needs to be working on the optimum level. And just like Michael says, if he's out there and he's taking his job and he's not taking it seriously, or he's going substandard because he's been allowed to go substandard because PT standards have lowered, or GT placement scores has been lowered, things he's not being held up to a higher standard, then the base building is going to be held to a lower standards, and they're going to suffer. And that means mortar rounds. There probably won't be a place to protection because he's not going to be putting the extra effort into building places where there's shelter, where that can withstand attacks. Even the chow hall. I remember being in Iraq, and we had a chow hall that was disgusting. Every guy got sick. This is when I was a contractor. State Department was running it. Of course, State Department, even back then, their standards were waning, at least for contractors. But that was a huge thing. The people that built the chow hall did not take into account bacteria and stuff that got in the water. And for 2 weeks, every Blackwater contractor was shitting his pants. How awful that was. It was going out and just take as much Imodium as you could as you went out in the city, so you didn't shit your pants just riding around the city, taking people and protecting people. That is what we're talking about with standards. So I don't ever want to hear REMFs, if they call themselves REMFs. I don't know what the A stands for. Maybe that's something else. But anybody that is support, saying that, I didn't see his combat, so my job wasn't as important as yours. Bullshit. It was more important, because you are making sure the people that are going out the gate, that are going into harm's way, and you are in harm's way too. We've seen that with rockets and mortars that come in. They're going out in harm's way, that they are 100% battle ready. They are capable physically, they're healthy, and they're mentally ready. I'm telling you what, when you're not healthy physically going out the gate, you're not mentally there either, because you're more worried about crapping your pants, in my experience, than looking out your window and trying to find that there's a target out there or somebody that's shooting at you. So guys, every one of you, I don't give a shit what you did. You were important, and you were part of an important machine, and that everything worked correctly. And I'm telling you, service and support people out there, and that's what the term is for them. You have combat service support, service and support. Then you have combat units. Service and supporting units are essential to success and victory on the battlefield. And I'll tell you, we gave the example, finance people. If you're a downrange and your finances screwed up, believe me, mama's calling you, trying to get a hold of you. Somebody is calling you on the phone. She's calling your commander going, I need to talk to my husband. We didn't get paid this month. I can't pay rent. Holy shit. Do you want that stress when you're downrange? No. So, sir, that's where the service support come in. And that's why they are essential to having even the highest standards, higher than the combat guys, because they are essential in keeping combat guys focused and keeping combat men and women, the people that go out the gate, keeping them focused on what the task at hand is, so they're not worried about other things or not getting sick when they're downrange because their chow hall is filthy. And also just coming back to even if the bed is terrible, coming back to a Connex box with a bed and an air conditioner after sweating your balls off for 2 or 3 days, it feels like heaven. And that's you guys. And that's why we are so good. That's why when we talked about, I wish I remember what it was, Ian, we talked about the PT scores. We need to have a different PT scores for everybody. Bullshit. That's where it all starts. You have to keep them up there because you're saying, hey, standards are here. We are all at this standards. We're all important. Every one of us, no matter you're seeing combat or not, are integral to victory on a battlefield. And so I don't ever want to hear, Mike, that I hate when I hear that from guys. I didn't see combat. It was important. Bullshit. You are just as important.
I think he felt the opposite of that. I think he does feel what he did was important.
And I am agreeing with you. And I completely 100% got your back, brother. It was essentially important to victory and making sure men and women that went out the gate came back alive because their head was focused on the task at hand, not other things that take place if a base isn't built correctly, or if there are worries at home, or if I don't have enough guns. That's another example. I'm sorry, I'm going long on this one, but this is also important. First time into Iraq, and as a contractor, State Department didn't have enough guns for us. We were basically going on a mission with a gun and then coming back with our M4 and handing it off to the next team and saying when they went out. So we had to space our ops so we had enough guns. So it wasn't even zero to any of us because we had to trade. It's like I'm handing off a weapon to a DynCorp guy as he goes out the gate. And when he comes back, I'm looking at my watch going, God, I hope he gets back here soon because I need his gun. How ridiculous is that? That's State Department for you. But that is why service and support is so important. So important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Michael. As I said, I know Michael writes us all the time. So, we'll get to your questions when we can. This is another one from actually a regular Randy Dollyhigh. Ian and Chris, here's another high praise for Willard Parrish. Please invite Mr. Parrish back on the show soon. He was one of the most entertaining guests to be on the podcast. I could have listened for hours and hours. I hope that I get to meet him someday to thank him for his service during the Vietnam War. Hope you both are doing well. I have a scan scheduled today, and this is at the time February 7th. I have an enlarged lymph node near my kidney, which has me and my wife a little concerned. It showed up during a scan of my heart a few months ago, and the cardiologist wanted a recheck of it to see if it has gone down. I had what the ER doctor thought was a heart attack at the time, but now seems not to have been the case. I ask that you guys say a prayer for me. We don't want to have to deal with cancer. That way, I could still be able to come out to a Battleline class again this year and train with Chris, Jeremy, and Ben. Always my best to you both, Randy Dollyhigh.
He's awesome. Randy's awesome. I love that guy. And I remember when he had come out to the course, boy, he sucked it up. He came out to a pretty hard stress fire course. And that guy, he toughed it out. I had literally had to take him off the line because I thought he was going to go into heat exhaustion. I'm like, dude, get off the line. But that's the mindset of the generations before us. You admire their toughness, and they're really, it's the hard as woodpecker lips mindset that they have. So him saying that means a lot to me. I know it does. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I'm sure it does to you. And when you ever get to meet Randy, you'll see what I'm talking about. The dude is hard as hell. He's just so tough. Nicest guy in the world. Still said, sir, ma'am. I think, Randy, really? You don't have to say sir to me. Come on, man. I'm going to say sir to you. You don't say that to me. yeah, bless you, brother. We'll say prayers to you, and cancer sucks. Yeah, it does. But if there's anybody that can beat it and fight it and beat it and all the which way around, it's you. So, but all the listeners out there, yeah, say a prayer for Randy. He's just a genuinely good dude, and he deserves all of our prayers. And you, brother, just stay strong and do what you're doing. Just be yourself, and you'll beat it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and when I post this show, I'll send a follow up to let him know his question is on the show, cool. And I'll get a better idea of how he's doing, of course. But yeah, it sounds like we have to have Willard Parrish back on.
Yeah,
a lot of people really liked him.
It's awesome.
He was great. He was great. All right, this is another one. This is from David Eden, I know David. He bought a Battleline podcast shirt, which you can buy one of those in the description of the show.
And when we have videos, you can see the one I'm wearing, man.
I wear mine all the time. I have 2 different colors. They're great shirts, great quality. So pick one up, guys, and tag us on Instagram if you pick one up, like David did. Yeah. So David says, Ian and Chris, thanks for your sympathetic coverage of the situation here in Canada. I'm a positive person, but the political landscape here in Canada keeps getting worse, and it's depressing. Chris said that Canada needs new leadership, and I couldn't agree more. But I fear that too many of my fellow Canadians are too brainwashed to understand what's happening here. It may be too late. Liberals have had a stranglehold on public education and media here for decades. Too many people here believe the lies that the protests are violent and, even more laughable, white supremacist. I was there for a few hours this past weekend and saw nothing but positive and friendly crowd with people of every background. The only nasty behavior I saw was heckling from a few bitter residents of the city. We've had 2 years of government-imposed restrictions and business shutdowns, but now all of a sudden a couple of weeks of inconvenience is a disaster. I am cautiously optimistic that this blatant power grab by Trudeau could lead to his government falling soon, and enough centrist voters may help vote in a different government. But I fear that all too often our conservative parties seem to be just controlled opposition to give the illusion that Canada isn't just a one-party state. The past few weeks have strengthened my doubts that Canada is a viable place to raise a family for those of us who value human dignity and freedom. Best regards, Dave. And then he throws in a PS. PS, I've been using Bubs for almost a year now, and it's working. Faster recovery from workouts and a few minor muscle and tendon and fewer minor and muscle tendon injuries. So that's awesome. Yeah, I don't know what you want to say about, we got into the Canada situation last week. It's weird because the news moves so fast that I feel like we're on to the next thing now. We're kind of on to Russia, and this isn't even getting coverage right now.
Right,
so I don't know how it's advanced.
As far as I think with Dave, what you got to do is just keep doing what you're doing. Keep showing your support for the Freedom Convoy, for the truckers, which you should, and keep saying what you're saying. Just what you said there. Write it in a letter. Put it out there. I completely agree with you and I don't live in Canada, so my voice is, believe me, it's not valid at all as far as, because I don't live there. All I can see is what I see when I do see something on the internet, and I don't say the news because I don't watch the news, brother. I don't, but I do read it every once in a while, and I'll see stuff that's read, or if I listen to a podcast and they talk about it. But this is the opportunity where, yeah, I agree with you that your leadership right now, which is terrible, it really is. It's just from the outsider looking in, and maybe I'm way off. I don't think so. It's awful. It is like a dictatorship there, and I think this has spread a lot of light on that. I'm hoping, just like you said, that this will show the light of it, and people will wake up and be like, let's get this administration, whatever you guys call it, out of here. Let's get this government out of here and get a new one sit in. And if that's not the case, you can always move. And I tell the people, you can always move. You can always move. You can. Do you move out of Canada? Well, yeah, come to the States. I'm sure Montana or Idaho will take you, and they'll be loving to have you up there. One of the reasons that we moved from Omaha and where we moved to a smaller place in Kansas, I know it's not an intercontinental move, but it was because it wasn't what we wanted to raise our kids anymore. That's why we moved. And you have to make that a choice as an adult. Sometimes you do have to do that. And I'm telling you what, when politicians don't see the revenue coming in from taxes or people that live there, shocker that always changes their views on things.
We're actually seeing it in New York City right now. I mean, the current mayor is saying that he is looking forward to getting rid of the vaccine mandate, and I think a lot of that plays into this is the first time, I think for like 2 years now, that Florida has seen more tourist attraction than New York. You obviously want to get those tourist, you want to get those tourist dollars, tourist dollars. And honestly, although look, he is definitely to the left, I do think Mayor Adams in New York City is a more reasonable guy than Bill de Blasio, for sure. I mean, which is not a hard task.
And I think, buddy, right now, what you're doing, keep holding fast. Don't give in. Don't let the truckers give in. One thing I do see Canada does kind of move in the way of, and maybe I'm wrong, Ian, help me out here, but they do watch New York City. They do watch the East Coast. I think if Trudeau had his way, he would love to be the mayor of New York City if he could. But I think as you see the mandates start to lift in the East Coast, I think Canada will follow suit. I really do. I do think, and the vaccine and all that is, and as our current administration sees that it's not popular here either, I think they've been seeing that for quite a while now. I think Canada's like a little brother. It's going to follow the big brother. So just hold out and watch the United States as we start to lift. We are starting to lift the mandates. I've seen them too. Yeah. Canada will follow suit. I think now it's just a waiting game. It's like you're playing chicken on the road and who's going to turn off the road first? Well, don't be the ones that turn off the road first. Just hold on, be strong till the truckers support them, be strong, and then they'll follow suit with the United States, which it does generally happen. And from when I do pay attention to it, Ian, I could be way off. Maybe I'm off, but help me out there, buddy.
So. No, I don't think so at all. But yeah, thank you for your email. We got a few more emails to get to, but before we do, we of course want to talk about some of the awesome sponsors we have on board who have been with us for quite some time. Our longest running sponsor, Fort Scott Munition, manufactures patented match-grade ammunition from solid copper and brass spun SCS SBS rod that is designed to tumble upon impact, TUI. It leaves devastating wound channels in soft tissue for faster bleed out and swift incapacitation. In a climate with increasing demand for tactical readiness, Fort Scott Munitions is expanding to deliver unmatched results to the tactical training industry. FSM Training offers live fire ranges, modular simulation ranges, and 120 silos for rappelling and facilities for scenario-based training, which we're going to get into. So in partnership with Battleline Tactical, FSM's training's grand opening is launching on May 6th and May 7th via an exclusive copper ticket event. Yeah. You can't buy tickets to this. I'm going to try to be there. If they could get me in, I will be there. And this copper ticket is an all-exclusive 2-day carbine and pistol course, close to $4,000 worth of FSM TUI ammo, lodging, food, and traveling are all included. And co-sponsors who will be attending include Daniel Defense, Tactical Shit, E3 Firearms Foundation, and Guns of America. And other media personnel attending will be Guns Out TV, Hank Strange, Jesse Fenley, and more to come. You know what's funny? When I'll say this, when Ryan Duvier sent me the original copy, I'm going to call him out on this. He referred to like Hank Strange and all of them as influencers, and I go, Chris is going to break your balls.
Don't you dare!
And then he changed the copy. But I'm looking forward, man.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Battleline Tactical. This will be our home range here, using Fort Defense. And guys, the stuff that we have been looking at, I've been looking at with Ryan whenever I've come in over the last couple of years, the facilities, it's awesome. I mean, and it's what I love about it. And this is what I told him. It's grungy. It's grungy. And I said, you keep it grungy. This is what people need to be in. If they're going to go through any sort of OP4 training, any sort of protective security details, any sort of room clearing, it needs to be grungy, because when they ever have to do it for real, if ever they did, it's not going to be a nice, clean, swept floor facility. It's going to be going into a warehouse where there are jagged pieces of metal from old equipment sticking out, and that's what they have to maneuver around. And that's why it's like, dude, don't change the thing. So believe me, when you come and see the facility, it's going to look almost eerie. It's kind of like you're going onto a Ghost Adventure set. It's going to look just rustic is the nice word, but that's real. That's what it is like, and that's what you need to train in. And then the outdoor facility, It reminds me of like a little Disneyland area. It does. And we're going to have a great time at the outdoor facility. So yeah, get a case of ammo, register for that golden ticket. I'm your Willy Wonka. I'm your Huckleberry. Come down and you're going to have a blast. And Fort Scott spares no expense in treating people right. They are definitely a great company to be involved with, and they have tremendous integrity, and their products are awesome.
Yeah, so the golden ticket, the copper ticket case, that is going to happen starting on March 1st. So this is going to be up. Yeah, so that'll be tomorrow for you guys listening. That'll be up tomorrow, and I'm gonna put the link in description for where you guys could sign up for this. Because it's a long address. I mean, I'll say it right now for any of you, hey, there might be some people who are visually impaired or something and need someone to go to it. So fortscottmunitions.com/pages/FSM-battleline-copper-ticket. But you're probably not going to remember that. So I'm going to put it in the description. Click on the description, click on that. And yeah, you'll have your chance to go to this grand opening. And Chris will obviously be there. I'll hopefully be there. And of course, as always, if you go to fortscottmunitions.com, you can use the promo code Battleline for 15% off all of their merch, their Tactus Swatch shirt, any of that cool stuff. So check it out. And while we're talking guns, while we're talking ammo, we got to talk night vision. Photonis Defense is the global leader in night vision solutions, providing more high-quality night vision capabilities than anyone. Hunters, shooters, boaters, and outdoor enthusiasts rely on Photonis Defense systems to make their adventures safer and more successful. Military, law enforcement, and public safety end users utilize Photonis Defense solutions to give them the edge at night in tactical situations and rescue operations. Photonis Defense is now offering state-of-the-art night vision systems from the PD Pro B 16mm binocular and the PD Pro M 16mm monocular to the PD Pro Q panoramic night vision system. Customers from all over are excited about these new, smaller, lighter NVGs. You've got to see these things to really experience how much smaller and lighter they are than anything you've used previously. And, I was at SHOT Show and I got to meet some of the guys there. I actually have his business card still. So Justin Sheehan, for example, Navy SEAL, we're going to get him on the show in the near future. Big Photonis Defense user. And it's real operators who are using this stuff, basically. And who are saying to Phil from Photonis, we love this. This is what we need in combat. So if it's good enough for those combat situations, if you're someone who, once again, boater, hunter, this is exactly what you're going to want. Oh,
yeah, and Phil, guys, for Phil and I were GRS together. Phil was a Marine as well, and he's got the experience. He works at Photonis and our Navy SEAL. And guys, we'll talk about it with him. Tyrone Woods was his instructor at Buds when he went through Navy SEAL.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, okay. So we'll get into that a little bit. But not just being smaller and lighter. Actually, the detail is better when you look through those lenses. When you look through those optics, detail is so much higher. The resolution is so much better. It's not as pixelated. If any pixelation is there at all, if you can even tell, and your visual acuity goes up tenfold when you're wearing these things. If you are in the military or you run you run the purchasing departments in law enforcement, big city, small city, or like I said, the military, you're doing your guys a disservice by not looking at Photonis Defense, because you're putting a product that's not as good in their hands. And guys, reason people wear night vision, aside from coyote hunters and guys, hunters and stuff, wear those things if you want to go out coyote hunting. You're gonna night and day difference. But guys are going and fighting and using this night vision. You're giving them the best option to save their lives, to save their buddies' lives, to be in the fight so they don't lose their lives. Why not put the best product in their hand? Not the cheapest product. You put the best product in their hand because you can't put a price on their lives. So if you're purchasing and you are in law enforcement military, get to Photonis Defense, give them a call, start getting their products in your guys' hands that are going out on raids, that are going out on missions, and give them the best chance for them to come home to their families. If you're not doing that, I don't know what kind of integrity you guys have out there, but it's not the integrity that I want to be behind. So get with Photonis Defense and get that stuff in your guys' hands so they are the best gunfighters out there, and they're most protected gunfighters, and they're bringing themselves and their brothers home.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better myself. So photonisdefense.com, DEFENSE.com for more information or look for Photonus Defense product options from your night vision dealer. With that, get to more questions here.
Yeah.
This is from Cheryl. Good morning, Ian. I hope you had a great time. Like you're just punching as no one sees this except for me.
I wish you could see this, man. I'm ready to go. Let's get some questions going.
All right. So, good morning, Ian. I hope you had a great time at SHOT Show. Here's the question I suggested. Out of all the guests, who stands out the most in your mind and why? Thanks, and God bless to y'all, Cheryl.
Well, I still, and I know I'm kind of leaning towards the Ranger. I'm partial towards Rangers. I still love the Matty Waters,
I knew you were
along Waters.
Yeah.
I did, reason because I was a private.
We're gonna have him back on. We
got to have him. But I do know him. And I was a private when he was a Tab Spec 4, when he was basically a team leader, and he had tremendous leadership capabilities then, and he was just an awesome Ranger, a guy that I emulated myself from. I wanted to be like that. He was a mentor, whether he thought he was or not to me, but he was. And then, so it didn't surprise me when he was leading the assault and his leg went off. The RPG took his leg off and he kept fighting. That to me that didn't shock me at all. And then people were like, holy crap. No, that's Matty. That's Sergeant Waters, and him having the attitude that he has now. If you follow him on Instagram, guys, Hop Along Waters, you'll see that he is still has the best demeanor in the world. He's still cheery. He still loves life. He still loves his family. He served in the Tacoma Police Department after he had his leg blown off. And what did he serve in? He served in EOD. He served in the explosive side of the Tacoma Police Department. So it's just his mindset is tremendous, and he's so strong mentally, and he's so strong physically. And I got to see that, and I also got to be mentored by a guy like him, which I think helped me get through some of the things that I went through when I was downrange. So Matty Waters, my second is I'm with you, Willard Parrish. Anybody that can fight a war with 245s is cooler than shit. Dude. That dude's awesome. And if Willard and going through that, working with guys like going through his battle there in Vietnam and the Valley there, and being repped by We Were Soldiers Once and Young in the movie, and just seeing the people that he served with and the way he discussed them and talked about him, and just seeing that he is still probably the most humble character in the world when he didn't have to be. He could be the most arrogant son of a bitch, and he would completely deserve it, because I can't believe those guys went through the hell that they went through. And again, he went through, his M16 went down. So what did he do? He fights with 245s. I've never heard anybody doing that in combat. To me, that's amazing. But he's just generally still just a great guy. So that's my second, is Willard Parrish.
Nice.
What's yours, bro? You got to tell me.
There's, because I thought about this. There's so many great episodes we've had when you think about these past 2+ years. Of course, all the Spec Ops guys, but then the fact that we've talked to people like Diamond Dallas Page. And, we've had on Ted Nugent. We've had on so many like huge names, and it's like an honor to talk to these people. And when I get a call from Diamond Dallas Page on my cell phone, it's like, is this real life? Like, this is a guy that I watched as a little kid wrestling. So and of course the Spec Ops guys. My favorite shows typically are the ones that you and I do. And I know, because people always say we have great chemistry together, which I agree.
I think so.
I think we're able to make these shows work together. But truthfully, if I had to say my favorite guest, it would actually be Frankie Palmieri from Amur. And I think it's just because of my background with him, because I've known the guy for so long. And to me, all the guys we have on personify perseverance and all that type of thing. But in a lot of ways, it's stuff that's not 100% relatable for me. I could look up to it and admire it, but I've never been in combat. I've never served. So, Frankie, I just saw what he did with his band, with Amur. And to me, like, the interesting thing was watching this band go from a band playing local, small Long Island venues by me in Queens and Connecticut. Those were kind of their big areas, to being a band playing festivals with Korn and Slipknot, and all these huge names. And the thing for me that really stands out about Frankie, that shows who he is as a person, and I became friends with him, really. I was a fan before I ever met him, but we became pretty good friends. And he's someone I would see around New York. No longer is in New York, but basically there was a few years in the band where he really was not getting along with those other guys, and they were not getting along with him. And I think he saw he foresaw the importance of keeping that name alive and keeping the band alive. But it was a dark time for him. And we spoke about it on the episode, but there was a period where the entire band left besides him. He was the only member of Amur. And how does a band survive with just one guy on vocals, you know? So he actually called me at the time that I was at Sirius, and he said, look, I have no idea like what I'm going to do with the future of my life right now. Like, I don't have a band at the moment. All I have is a high school degree. He's like, do you think there's any need for me at Sirius, you know, as a host, as doing anything, you know, because I don't know what I'm doing in music. And we spoke about it on the show. He's like, yeah, there was a period where I called everyone I knew who was in some type of position to figure out what I was going to do. And if you looked at these metal sites and the music media, it was basically speculated that this band was done. There was going to be no more future of this band. And Frank set out to find new guys, Joshua Travis, who is truly, and we all saw it on the show. It was just me for that episode. I'd love to get both those guys back on, but like truly one of the best guitarists out there. Joshua is a beast. Watch his Twitch streams. He does these Twitch streams where he solos and everything and shreds. He's incredible. And he proved to the world and to anyone who was a fan, like, not only am I going to continue this band, not only am I going to keep the name for myself, but we're going to put out an album that's going to be bigger than anything we've done in previous years. And it was like a big comeback for them. And I know at the time, I don't really know what the future is for that band, because truthfully, like any other kind of mid-level band, they got kind of crushed by COVID. There was a big period for 2 years where they couldn't really tour. And I don't know what the future holds, but what I know about Frank is that he's a guy who truly will persevere through anything. So I know that even if it's not with the band, which I hope it is, because I love that band, he's going to be doing something, and he's going to be truly like working to be his best self and becoming a better person. And if you listen back to that episode, he speaks a lot about that, about how he's evolved as a person and how he's just growing to be better every day and be the best version of himself. So it's not just guys that we have on in combat who could really exemplify that, I feel like. So
You're right.
Yeah, I'd love to get him back on. I'd love to get Joshua Travis back on, but that might be my favorite. But then also, like, I love having guys like Marty Scoven on and Luke Ryan on, and I'm naming like all Rangers, but yeah, all the
so
Jeff DePazzi was great. JTF too, he was awesome.
He was. Honorable mention: Rob Jabber was an awesome interview just recently, tremendous. Yeah. And then going back, Dave Silvera was a great interview. I love Dave. I love Dave. Dave is man. Him and I
first time, because I feel like the second time
audio we just had all those audios. We got to get him back on, man. We got to get Bias back on. Definitely get them back on.
They're doing gigs again too. So
on their following is shot up. I mean, come on? You got Dave Silvera on drums there, and I don't want to call him the leader, but I think a lot of those guys would look up, and who wouldn't look up to a guy that was in the founding members of Korn and made Korn really. I know Korn is a tremendous band they had with the original members, but it is different with that having a Dave Silvera on drums. You can hear the difference. When it's Dave Silvera on drums, just the way he hits is just amazing. But
and also, like, for example, I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but
no.
Like, I was listening to Covino and Rich, right? And Covino just saw Korn in System of a Down, and he talked about how great of a show it was. It was at some, it might be where the Rams play. It was definitely a stadium show. But Covino talking about the songs that he loved, the songs that people want to hear from Korn, I don't think it's just coincidence. They're all the songs Dave played on. Those are all people want to hear. Freak on a Leash, Got the Life, Blind, Ball of Tongue, that's all the stuff Dave Silvera played on. All the classic stuff he was on.
And we need to get him back on the show, because he was on when the first year we've had him. So things have changed with us. I think we've gotten better. And I think Dave, and he had some connection problems as well that second time we had him on. So we do need to get him on again. But guys, all our interviews really go into perseverance, and they do go in the never give up, never quit attitude. Yeah, we get into some politics because that's just that we do. It's honestly, it's entertainment. It's fun to talk about some stuff with people with that. But
it's also just what's happening in the world. I mean, we're not separated from the world.
No, and we don't want you to ever be that way, because then you're an isolationist. Then that's not good either. That's going the extreme the other way. Yeah. So, but they're just never giving up, never quit. True Seeker is another one. I think if you want to listen about a different view of Christianity, I have a different view. I am a different kind of Christian than a what you would say a stereotypical Christian. So is Truth Seeker. I think that episode was tremendous. I loved that episode with him and his drug usage and how he saw the light. To me, that's what it's all about, man. We need to get him back on too.
Yeah, I have to say, even in my own life, right? Like when he tells those stories, which might sound crazy to some people, I do believe there are demons that are real, that are within us. And they take people over, man. When we hear about people dying of drug overdoses and that type of thing, they're not bad people. They let those demons kind of speak, basically take over their life, over the side within us, the holy side within us, the side that's God within us, the actual physical God, which it's just hard to describe, but you know what I mean? Like the spiritual side of us gets taken over by these demonic entities. So I don't think it's crazy when he starts saying, I had these hallucinations, I was losing my mind, because I may have never experienced them to the same extreme as him, but I certainly, and I know you have had too.
Oh yeah, I've
certainly had times in my life where I felt I was losing my mind. And that is the devil.
And it's not, hey guys, I am not good at it. I'm glad I'm not good at it, but I did attempt 3 different times to kill myself. I had the gun in the hand. I actually stuck the last time I put it in my mouth. And do you think it wasn't God telling me to do that? I let myself get taken over. I know it. I know that feeling. I know what it's like to just say, you forsake God, you forsake the good side, the light. You do. And because the temptation is so much easier, and that's the demons. That's the devil. That seems so much more fun. It's so much more enjoyable. And that's what you feel. God, I get back to God later. Don't worry about him. So you let all that take you over. And once you let it take you over, you're just rolling down a hill, and you just continue. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And to a point after 3 years of really forsaking God and letting the devil take over, demons take over, because there's a battle for our souls, guys, to believe it or whether you want to believe it or not, there is. Letting the devil win those 3 years, it almost cost me my time here on earth, and I wouldn't have gone to heaven. I'm still, I still got to go meet my maker when I'm done here, and he's going to decide. But if I would have done what I thought I wanted to do at that time, because I just had let the devil and the demons take over my life, I would have went straight to hell, and everlasting hell does not sound good. I know, and it's not something I want to be. And so, Ian and I completely agree with you at all. That's why I think listening to some of the shows that we've had are important, because they are relatable. Even if they're military or not, a lot of the military guys we've had on, their problems stemmed after combat. It was coming home and getting into alcohol, or getting into drugs, or getting into vices.
Jonathan Hancock, right?
Hancock, there's another. Exactly, there's another one.
Because not only did they experience the most deaths in Fallujah, it was even more deaths when these guys came home.
And how do you deal with that? Having Ben Morgan on and his alcohol problems when he was growing. I mean, that makes veterans, to me, relatable. That makes them relatable to my problems. My problems did not stem from combat. If Benghazi would or would not have happened, I still would have went down that road of debauchery of
do you think so? Because I'm wondering, Benghazi led to you being a public figure. You probably never would have been a public figure had it have not been for Benghazi. And being a public figure, I think, brought a lot of temptation and negativity to your life, right?
I think it expedited it. It did expedite it. It made it quicker. But I had seen so much even before Benghazi. I had those inclinations in me. I just think Benghazi and the public figureness made it easier for me to go after those vices. I still had those vices in me. I know I know myself. I can tell you guys right now, I know I had those vices in me. My wife that I reconciled with, Tanya, Mrs. Tonto, we had separated before Benghazi even happened, after my trip from Kandahar, because of vices, guys. So just to let you know, and so Ian, you know what I'm talking about. You guys can figure it out.
Of course, yeah.
But
it's the same thing as every. I mean, I think just for guys, especially, look for it's funny because we talk about the sponsor in the show, but for high testosterone males, someone is chasing women, someone is going out drinking. It's all the same stuff that I think all of us face at some point. And actually, when we had Truth Seeker right on the show and he said a prayer for the audience, I always feel like it comes from a very genuine place. If you and I were to do it, I don't know if it would come. It's just not what we do every day. for him, we do it in private, but you know what I mean? Him praying over the audience and all that. I really feel something when he does that. And I think the way he's like devoted his life to that type of thing is amazing. We're hopefully going to work with him in terms of like videos soon because he's great at all that. But I even wanted to point out one other thing that was cool. I don't know if you saw it. It was a while ago on Instagram, but he went to go see POD. Do you know POD?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. They're payable on. No, they're.
Yeah.
That's that scene where it started to change from the grunge into rap rock. And I love living in that life. That
I
genre
love all that.
too.
But so he went to, I thought this was so cool, man. He went to a POD concert with one of his friends who was handicapped. And he was a little bit worried about like bringing him out in the crowd. How are people going to react? And he brought him to the front of the stage, and Sonny from POD prayed over him. And then they brought him up on the stage in his wheelchair, and like, he's high-fiving them and everything. And you could tell not only was that guy having the time of his life, I think Derek Truthseeker, as he goes by, was having the time of his life, knowing like he helped this kid experience something like that. So he's an all-around great dude. And the truth is I've never met him, but he's had an impact on my life, which is, I know him from podcasts. Like he's brought positivity to my life. And he's someone they've never met in person. So it's powerful. I
agree, bro. I've never met him in person either, but even just doing that one show when there's two people that believe in God, have faith and believe in positivity like that, it felt comfortable with me talking to him. I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, this guy's weird. It's like, yeah, and you know what? I'm with you, brother. I feel you. I know what you're saying. I'm feel the same way. And that's what you just saying the stuff that, the problems that veterans have, where people feel we can't be relatable to them because they've never been in combat. Yes, you can, because we have those same, if not even more so, those same issues. And you made a good point. Well, because I've been asked that before to Benghazi. If Benghazi hadn't happened, you wouldn't have been that way. Yeah, I would. I was already that way. It just made it a lot easier to obtain the vices that I had coveted, that I thought I wanted. There was always a battle for the devil and God with me since I was in the Army. And I think a lot of us go that route in special operations, and there's always a battle because you feel you're doing things that, or you could do something that is against the commandment. Come on, thou shalt not kill. Well, that's what you're training me to do. There is a constant battle in the inside. If there's not, there's really something mentally wrong with the person that's going to be a Ranger or SEAL. There, even if it's outward or not, there still is a constant battle of, and then a rationalization of, or even cognitive dissonance of, well, I'm doing it in the name of our country, so it's okay. I always would come back to my pastor and say, hey, dude, I don't know if I feel this. I'm breaking commandment. I'm killing people, or I could. I'm allowed to. This doesn't feel right, or is it right? And he would say, he would talk me through it and get into the patriotism of it. But and it was like, hey, you're doing it for your country. You're doing it for other people could come home. You're just doing it to protect other people. God going to give you a card for it. He's going to give you a pass on that one. Okay. But it does lead you down to a superiority complex too. You can very easily go into that superiority. Well, then God must be like me better than everybody else, so I can do what I want. And you know what? I'm going to forsake him anyway because I'm enjoying this stuff I'm getting away with. So let's just keep going down that rabbit hole. And that's when guys come back and get involved with drugs or terrible relationships, which I've seen a lot. A lot being 5 is a lot. 5 guys kill themselves because of a bad relationship. I've then also with the drinking or driving motorcycles or your car's way too fast because you don't care anymore. It does. Yeah,
you're not trying to kill yourself, but you don't care if you live.
But you don't care if it happens. And all of our listeners out there, whether you've been in the military or not, have felt like that at some point. So that's what I'm saying. It's all relatable. We all go through those same things. And we do fight those demons. And I'm hoping the people that listen to our show sees that whether you're a veteran or not, we've all fought those demons and we've all overcame those demons or in the process of overcoming those demons. So you can too. So and that's the show. I mean, I'm hoping that's what our theme of our show is finally come to be, which we didn't know the first year. Like what? I think we had a question on that, like our first Q&A. What's the theme of the show? I think
before the show even started, actually, I remember you doing a live stream and someing asking what's the theme of the podcast. And the thing is, we knew we didn't want it to be like overtly political. We knew we didn't want it to be like a go out and vote for this person. Chris and I were very much on the same page on that. But we also had like similar backgrounds in terms of, like I said, you could actually find it on YouTube. I did a video about when I went through a very heavy depression. And Chris was one of the people who inspired me. Just hearing the story about Chris at the airport and, you know, running to that older woman who said, hey, keep speaking your truth.
That was awesome, dude.
Yeah, just those little things like that certainly inspire me. And just like I said, Frank keeping his band alive after everybody turned their back on him, all that stuff. So I love speaking to inspiring people. Anyway, we went very long in that one, so let's keep going.
That was a good one. That was a very that was a very cathartic question and answer.
Yeah,
very cathartic Q&A. So thank you for that. That was awesome.
I agree. All right, this is from Scott Tiedemann. Dear Ian and Chris, in January, I wrote you and told you how thankful I was for your podcast. And last year during COVID, I had to write and thank you again. Back in July, I was really feeling stressed and burnt out at work, so much that it was affecting home life. While listening to the podcast, this is funny, by the way, because this you'll hear why. And this is an older email. This is from late last year, but you'll hear why. Ian had mentioned he needed to stop talking about moving and just do it, which is so funny. Hearing that, it struck with me, and I needed to quit bitching about my job and also do something. So basically, I'll just say as I keep reading here, I mean, the whole thing was, I'm moving to Florida, and then I didn't move to Florida. I'm currently living in Connecticut, which is like way.
So he
different,
did.
But,
so he said. So just to answer it, he did finally just say, "Fuck it, I'm moving," and he did. So there you go.
I did move, but it was many months later. So after a day or two of thinking about it, I decided to look for a different employment. My plan was to send out 2 resumes a week and see how it goes. I was a little taken aback to receive a call for an interview because I kind of thought at 49 years old, no one would be interested in me. I went to the interview very nervous. Just as I was about to get out of my truck and go into the podcast, I was finishing with its outro. Okay, so he says, and he talks about the outro. Believe in yourself, hit challenges head on, and don't quit. After hearing that, I wasn't nervous. I felt calm and at peace. 6 months later, I am loving my new job. I am less stressed with my new hours. I was able to spend quality time making memories with my son before he went to college in Florida. Ian and Chris, it was your positivity, encouragement, and get your head out of your ass advice that helped me with the courage and confidence to step up and make the change. Thank you doesn't seem adequate. If you guys ever feel down, I hope this email motivates and inspires you like your podcast does for me. I'll keep listening every week for as long as you guys feel like making the podcast. And as I said, this is old. So he says, have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Scott T. Man, that's inspiring to hear. And it's inspiring to hear that somehow we inspired people because we're just sitting here at our computer and talking and, you don't think about it. You look at the numbers and you're like, oh, this many people listened, but you don't think about it. You just think, oh, hopefully they were entertained. You don't think how it might impact them.
Well, yeah, that's being a public speaker. If you're doing public speaking to get, and this is, I'm going to tie this all together, guys. So
Sure.
Stay with me. Being a public speaker and you want to be an inspirational public speaker, if you're worried about the numbers you have out in the audience, you're doing it for the wrong reason. You tell your stories to reach at least one person. And that's how I've always been a public speaker. Make them laugh, make them cry, make them smile, make them feel anger, make them feel sadness, all in a speech. You want to make people feel that way because then they start to take a look at their own lives. Okay, what is going on with my life? And you're trying to inspire them to tackle whatever that adversity is. And I think, we do forget that because we do look at listeners, but we forget, and now we're going back to it. So now we're not going to forget again. Is that really, I hope we reach millions of people. I hope one day we do. But if we help just one, that makes it all worth it. And that's why this was why we do it. This makes it all worth it. It really does. And yeah, I think, tell me his name, Jay, is it?
Oh, yeah, that was Scott.
Scott, that was Scott. So Scott, I hope other listeners are out there. Sometimes you just got to take that step, and it's scary as hell. It's like jumping out of an airplane the first time you do it. You don't want to do it. It's not natural, but all you got to do is just take that step and then just let the rest take its course and go with it. And you may make a mistake, and you may be a fail. You could look at it as a failing or an obstacle or adversity. Well, that's how we learn. We learn from that failing. We learn from that adversity. And then we just, let's get back on our horse. Let's keep riding. If we run into that sort of situation again, now we know how to handle it. You're never going to be successful if you don't take a step. You're never going to get to that level you want to achieve if you're scared to take a step or you're scared to fail. Everybody that has succeeded in life, at least in their view of what success is. Everybody has a different view of success. Everybody should. They've all failed at some point. I've failed tons of times. I wrote a fucking book about it. The Ranger Way is just about complete failure. But I learned from those failings. And we talked about just now on the show, the failings that both Ian and I had to let the devil get a hold of us, which we overcame those failings or the adversity or those demons and have, I think, become successful in our own lives. I know you have. I mean, you may not think you have. I know you've become successful because just from when I've known you. And with me, I'm a happy father and I'm a happy husband. That to me is successful, and I can still put food on the table. So Scott, that's tremendous, man. And I think your story, it should inspire others just to, hey, I don't know if I should do this. Fucking knuckle up, and just like Ian, knuckle up and do it. Just get it done. Go do it. Take that step. Then you know if it was the right step. If you never do, well, then you'll never know, and you'll stay meh. you'll meh your whole life. It'll just be meh. But take that step, and it's okay to fail. It's okay to feel a little bit of pain. It helps us grow. It does. And but then we also cherish what that feeling of success and goodness is. It makes it feel even better. Just don't be a vanilla in life. I tell my son and my sons and my daughters, don't just be vanilla. You just don't live in safety. Take a chance here or there. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. But man, you're going to learn from it. And then if you're ever faced with that adversity again, you're going to conquer it. And then when you're 80 like me, you can look back at your life and be like, wow, I took chances. Some worked, some didn't. But damn, that was fun. That was a hell of a life.
And also, this guy is pretty much just your age, because he's 49, so just give or take a year or two. And
that took some balls to quit your. That's awesome, man. That took a lot of nuts to quit your job at that age. But then step in, and obviously he killed it in the interview. So congratulations, man. Yeah. That should inspire everybody out there to take a chance, not just us. Just that little story right there. That's amazing. Yeah,
I agree. That's awesome. And I appreciate it. As for, I'll just throw in, me currently moving to Connecticut. It really just, for one, look, I love Long Island. I'll always be a Long Island guy. And I had to be, I wanted to go somewhere where I was within driving distance. So I'm an hour away. I can still see all my friends and all that. And I think that's part of what keeps me grounded is having friends and family nearby. I love Florida, but, that could also be another thing like we talked to. Florida, just like we talked to Dylan, who lives in Vegas, right? Like, he manages to just be like work mode all the time. But I think sometimes when you're in those environments away from family and friends, it could definitely lead to a lot of temptation. And I think, having friends, family nearby keeps you grounded. And that's why I'm currently here. Price of real estate is also insane on Long Island right now and all of New York. I was actually talking to Ben Morgan. And Ben said to me, he's like, didn't everybody move out of New York? I'm like, definitely not. It's never been higher, man. So, that's why it's like the news kind of exaggerates certain things. Of course, it was like, oh, this mass exodus. And it wasn't really, because if that was true, the prices would have gotten somewhat back to normal. But I'll probably be here for the next year. If prices get back to normal in Long Island, I'll probably be back there. But the important thing is I'm close by, and then I'm also closer to a place that I love, Mohegan Sun.
Yeah, I remember speaking there. That's pretty awesome, guys. If you ever been to that resort,
love it. And people are always like, "Oh, you gamble a lot," and it's not that. They have great restaurants, really good comedy club.
The sushi place there. You and I both agree that's probably one of the best sushi places in the country. That thing, awesome.
Sushi Koya at Mohegan Sun. Go there, amazing. And then there's a fish restaurant that's attached. That's great. And then, like I said, all the big comedians are at that comedy club every week. So I actually think I'm going to be there Saturday and see Louis J. Gomez. If you guys know, Gas Digital Network, he runs that. And I sort of know Louis, not really, I used to see him at Sirius. I have his number on my phone. So I'll probably text him and be like, hey, I'm at the show and maybe meet up with him later. But, I casually know him sort of, but yeah, and also the Wolf Den, great venue. So yeah, I'm in between those two places now, where my house is and that. I have an amazing gym across the street. So that's where I currently am. All right, enough of that. I'm going to get to the next question here. This is from another regular, Robin, right? Good afternoon, KP and Ian. Just wanted to get your insight on the cancel culture going on in our country. It seems to be everywhere, but most recently in my actual community. My high school mascot is the Warriors and has always been the Warriors. Before today, it was a Native American in his warrior headdress with the feathers down, and she sent me an image of it. This particular mascot was respectfully approved 30 plus years ago with the Ute tribe. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right, or Ute tribe.
It's Ute tribe, yeah.
Ute tribe, right?
Yep.
Is this your high? Is this your high school? Because
no, that Ute tribe.
Right?
It's because I grew up in Utah, so the Ute tribe is in there. And you're growing up in Provo. The University of Utah used to be called the Utes. I think they changed their name. But my dad coached at Brigham Young. So I lived in American Fork, and they're in the western Colorado. Western Colorado, there's a big Ute Native American, influence there. And then when you get, of course, into Utah, the Utes, the Ute is a huge tribe that it was part of Utah. So I'm wondering if this is, I don't know, where's she from? She's got to be from that area right there.
Don't you know her, Robin, right? Because I think she's written us before, and you said
are you Robin? Are you kidding me? The Warriors, the Grand Junction Central is changing the Warriors. I didn't know that.
Well, I'll keep going with the email.
Oh, those sons of bitches.
But I learned something new because I knew nothing about this.
I didn't know that, bro. Yeah, keep going.
But I didn't know the Ute tribe stuff, so I learned something new. Totally. I had no idea the origin of Utah or any of that. But I'll keep going. This particular mascot was respectfully approved 30 plus years ago with the Ute tribe. Principals and logo company all participating in the process. Now, because Colorado passed a law requiring schools with Native American mascots or names to change the name or get fined $25,000 a month. Wow. High school in a neighboring community in our school did receive permission from the tribes to use the names and mascot. I'm attaching pictures of the old mascot and the new one. The school spent $250,000 to paint the new logo and get new equipment. I think that money could have been spent for other more urgent projects, I would agree, at the school. As always, your thoughts and opinion are appreciated. Once again, this is an older one. So she says, hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Yeah, you won't be able to see it, but basically, my camera's so dark right now, but she sent me, that was the original logo, right?
The original, yeah. I remember.
And then this is what it is right now. It's kind of just that C.
This is, so who was, again, maybe I
grew up near this high school?
I went to, that's where I graduated from. No, I
graduated. That's what I was asking. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Well, when I had Rob, I don't remember, but I wish I remembered.
Yeah, no, I got you.
But I didn't think, honestly, I never thought Grand Junction Central would do that, because Grand Junction Central, when I was heavy into, we did have farm kids. We did have some city kids. It was a big Latino contingent in there. Nobody gives a shit. We're Warriors. That's a great name. And it was out of respect, for the Native Americans that were there. I didn't know the Ute tribe, it was based off that. And we had to get permission from the Ute tribe. Again, I just was going to high school there. I had no idea that. So, who was finding him? The Ute tribe was going to find him?
No. The state of Colorado, it says.
There you go. The influence again. It says
Colorado passed a law requiring schools with Native American mascots or names to change or get fined $25,000 a month, which is an insane amount of money.
Well, and you have an adulter there in the governorship there in office, and he is. That's what integrity, guys. That's what you get. I know Western Colorado, a lot of them don't want to vote that, but you've got Denver controlling you guys. You've got Denver and Boulder. You guys know that better than I do. That's why I moved from Colorado, because of that silliness. That's ridiculous. I still will always be a Warrior. They're called the Warriors, and my grandma.
It looks like they still are, but it's just a new logo,
different logo. I don't think there's anything wrong with that logo at all. I think that logo actually looks like a proud, strong tribal leader. That's what I see, and that's, as a Warrior, that's what I thought. That's why you call yourself the Warriors. We're strong and we're proud. I grew up more in the Latin community than I did the Native American. My grandma had a little bit of Navajo Indian. She did. She was part Navajo Indian. And
aren't you would know better than me on this, obviously, with your background, but aren't like a lot of Mexicans and Native Americans kind of like similar bloodline?
Yeah, right? They have the same lineage, same genes. Yeah, they come from the same. Yeah. That's where it came from. That's where a lot of the Latin culture, Latin American ethnicities come from. They started within. You can go in the history of Native American, but guys, I do. I think it does get ridiculous. I think it is. Is it something that we want to stress about? No, don't stress about it. It sucked. Are you knuckleheads? Really? You got to do this. You're going to change the word because what can you do? You have to get control, and you have to vote these people out of office. You've got to get new leadership in there. I think this is a low-hanging fruit, really. I really do. I think this is low-hanging fruit. That's why whenever there's something issue that goes about, what does that party do? And they go in, everybody's racist. Well, this is a way to still claim that everybody's racist. So vote for us because everybody else is racist. I mean, that's as simple as it is. And the only way to get out of that is you got to vote them out. You got to get them out of there and get people that not extreme on the other side either. I wish we could find a candidate that is just middle of the road. I don't know if that's even possible.
Well, I'm just surprised by this, right? I just have never heard of the state, like, because my high school was the Indians, and we had a Native American Indian logo, and there was it was actually during the time of like the height of the Black Lives Matter protests. There was someone who graduated with me who raised a petition that we should change the name and all this other stuff. I don't think it's going to happen because I think people just, it's not at the forefront of anything right now. But I certainly didn't hear of like the state of New York fining people. That just seems extreme. And New York politics is pretty extreme. And I didn't think they would. You would think, well, that's Colorado fining people over this. And that's really extreme.
And hopefully we got to do our background to make sure that this is accurate. Robin,
sure.
Do we trust you? Sure, we trust you. But we get things wrong all the time, and we got to make sure that it's right. But if this is correct, dude, Denver and the governor, oh my gosh. There's a reason why I left Colorado. Colorado's beautiful state, beautiful. The Western Slope is one of the most beautiful places in the world. Literally, you guys, oh my gosh, you got the Grand Mesa, you've got the Red Cliffs on one side, you've got the Redlands on one side with these red cliffs. Then you've got the Book Cliffs on the other side, which look like a bunch of stacked book. I mean, it's just beautiful. People who live in Grand Junction realize how beautiful that area is. But you have power hungry, adulterer governor there in Colorado, and guess what? This is what is going to still rev up his base, is still claiming that there is racism, and we've got to make sure that there's so much diversity and that we are being offended with our logos. It's just, but what can you do? How can we get a positive out of this? What can we?
Just a quick Google search though. I do see an article from CBS Denver. That the headline is schools with Native American mascots would face $25,000 fine per month under new Colorado bill. The bill by State Senator Jesse Danielson. So it's a state issue. So I don't think it involves the governor, but okay, it looks like it's a state law.
Whatever politician is doing this. Yeah, if a tribal council came down and said, "Hey, we really would like you to change that," I got you. All right. You know what?
Yeah. And also you can't force, and if you're saying, they can't force it, they're just saying, hey, this is what we'd like you to do.
Exactly. Now, but if you're doing this goes to a form of dictatorships, authoritarianism. Did I say that right? Because I always say shit wrong, always on the show. You guys have followed the show. Yeah, there you go. What Ian said. You vote these people, you got to vote them out. In the meantime, this is the chance. And I had a veteran, actually, I'm not a veteran. I had a young military guy, because I guess the wokeness is infiltrated the military, which we've seen. So he says, well, what do I do? I said, this is what you do. You better yourself. You quit worrying about it. You go and you make yourself stronger, faster, smarter. You get out there and you don't worry about what they're doing out there. You make yourself a better person. So then wokeness doesn't matter. It makes no difference. All that makes a difference is a merit. How are you? How good are you? And this is from my grandpa. This is from my Mexican grandpa, who said, hey, we don't complain. We don't whine. If we're not picked first, well, we go make ourselves better so they can't overlook us. And it doesn't matter if we're Mexican, doesn't matter if we're white, doesn't matter if we're poor, doesn't matter if we're rich. We make ourselves that indispensable person, that color of skin, ethnicity, political affiliation, it doesn't matter. We make ourselves good people, strong people, so they can't not pick you first. And that's why I told the military. I said, so don't worry about the wokeness. In fact, let everybody else let themselves deteriorate because they're more concerned about the wokeness while you are improving your skill levels. That's what we need to do. So everybody out there with this wokeness and you're going to lose sleep over it, don't. All right, vote better, get people you need that you want in office that don't adhere to this wokeness, but don't go the extreme right either. We don't want that either. You want somebody that's middle of the road, which hopefully that's possible one of these days. But in the meantime, this is your opportunity to sneak past people that are more concerned about the wokeness and just make yourself a better person. While they're already stuck in this wokeness, you are improving yourself. Better Christian, better husband, better father, stronger, faster, smarter. The military especially, guys. And that's how, honestly, I saw that the second time I went in the military when they started to lower the standards on PT tests, how easy it was because I didn't worry about it. I just wanted to make myself stronger and faster. So when the standards lowered, my PT scores went, wow, my physical fitness scores, physical training went through the roof because I didn't care about all these lowering the standards. I just wanted to make myself the best I could be. And then those standards, when they were lowered, it made my standards even higher. That's what I'm trying to get at, guys. So don't waste your time worrying about it. When voting comes around, vote how you want to place, vote how you want it to be in your state. But in the meantime, spend your energy making yourself a better person, not making yourself a better, I don't know what it would, better
activist, I guess.
Thank you. There you go. I guess. Thanks, Ian. I think that would be the right word for it. This is the opportunity. You have to make yourself a better person. And Ian and I have been saying this since COVID came about. This is your reset to make yourself better.
What I was going to say is what you're saying is reminding me of something. And that's why I'm searching something, because I wanted to pull it up, because even I feel I'm guilty of overlooking a lot of things where, like, I was distracted by whatever was going on in the world, and I could have been more focused on something else. I'm just seeing if I could find this, because I did a post about it.
You said what I said in 5 minutes. You said it in like three words. So this is why Ian's awesome.
But during the pandemic, right? I feel like, at the height of the pandemic, everyone was so overly worried about everything with the mandates and like being on top of it. And I'm trying to see if I could find this, because maybe I'm going to see if I could find this chart thing. You'll see what I'm talking about if I could find it. I'll have to edit this out, but it was a really, really interesting. Here we go. All right, I pulled it up.
No, I want to hear it. I'm interested. I'm really, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So here we go. Yeah. So I got interested in the whole cryptocurrency stuff and all that probably a little bit too late. Hopefully we see it go up. But I feel like during the pandemic, right, while there were people so worried about that stuff, there were other people who were like, all right, I'm going to look at stocks. I'm going to look at crypto. How could I better myself financially during this time, right? So, and I certainly didn't do this, and I wish I would have done this. So there's charts out now of basically if you invested your stimulus check in Bitcoin or Dogecoin, what would you have made? So there we go. So for example, if you put your stimulus, okay, so a person who put all $3,200 from the stimulus check into Bitcoin, at that time, when Bitcoin was, trading at $6,926, right? So that $3,200 investment would then be worth, at the time of this article, $9,326. So you would have tripled your money off a pretty small investment. And then Dogecoin, for example, if you would have invested $3,200 at that time, you would have made $156,963. Ethereum is there too. You would have $3,200 investment would have been $26,218. So the point being, I mean, while people were like bickering over politics, there were regular people. I'm not talking about like elites. There were regular people finding ways to make money, and while we were all infighting. And I'll be honest, though, like, it was an oversight of mine. I was like, oh, it's crypto, this is a phase, everybody felt that way, man. But people made a ton of money off of GameStop, off of AMC, off of cryptocurrency, and honestly bettering themselves financially while we were infighting about politics a whole lot. I'm not saying that stuff wasn't important, and standing up for, freedoms and all of that, but yeah, there's always someone bettering themselves. It is, while other people are arguing about how terrible everything is.
And that's why I got out of. That's why I got out of the news. That's why I don't do the media anymore. That's why I don't. last person I talked to was this writer from Fox, Fox Media, Fox News, and I even said,
her name was Holly McKay.
No, it wasn't Holly. It wasn't Holly. I think Holly was starting to get away from Fox then too, because she's like had it. She's like, because she's I can't be an independent journalist if somebody's telling me what I need to do. But no, if Fox would have been, but it was a new journalist like Holly when I first started doing stuff with Holly, and I even said, I was like, I'm through being angry. I'm through being mad. I'm through being pissed off. I'm done, and I'm just want to be a better person and live my life better and be better. And that's when turned it around. And then when COVID hit, I saw it. This is an opportunity to even have more of a chance to get better and stronger. As everybody's out there worried and yelling and complaining. No, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go for a run today. We talked about it a lot on the show. If you listen to those past shows, you can hear me and Ian when we first get on the show, when we first start the episodes. What'd you do today? I went for a run. What'd you do today? I went for a run, man. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what we were doing. We were getting our heads and our bodies right. And that leads to other things as well. Being at your top notch physically, a top self physically, leads to confidence, which leads to better emotions, which leads to better mental acuity. And it does. And it all ties in together. And I thought we were doing that. And we started our podcast around that time too. It's like, well, shit.
Yeah, no one would have thought, like we had no idea. And I've listened back to old episodes, and it's crazy. So we started in November of 2019. And we actually had Alex Jones on right when COVID was a thing. And I remember asking him, like, hey, are you worried about this? Like, what do you think is going to happen? You know?
Do your Alex Jones imitation. It's great.
Oh, Alex Jones. Yeah, mine is more like a David Webb. I do a good David Webb. But what would Alex Jones do? He was like, oh, the chai comes. You never could look past the chai coms. They have the COVID. I'd have to think about, he's a little bit like David Webb.
You're David Webb.
I would always
Jones
imitate.
Cross. Yeah.
I would always imitate David Webb, where Steven Tyler, good friend of mine. But but I just remember asking, and no one thought, that was going to happen. So I think COVID in a way did shape our podcast, because I think what people were listening to was from both sides, like hysteria 24/7. And we kind of made it a point, because I'll be honest, you and I were arguing about COVID a little bit, and I didn't want that to infiltrate the podcast. I did want the podcast, both of us, to be a positive thing. And I think talking about that whole situation week after week and listening to it, even for me, I mean, I'll be honest, this is my opinion. I still listen to Joe Rogan, but I do think the podcast kind of lost something through this whole thing. Like one of the early guests I really liked was this guy, Daniele Bolelli. He's never on anymore. Kind of like a philosopher type of guy. And I still listen to his show. And he kind of felt the same way, where he was like, the show used to be a very inspiring type of thing, kind of the same thing you do. And I do feel like week after week, because it's several times a week when you listen to that show now, there is not an episode that goes by where we don't talk about COVID for 30 minutes. And I'm just like, and I know we're talking about it right now, but just in passing. But yeah, I don't think it's we already know we're seeing people in masks. I know that's going away, but the last thing I need to do is then, like, for my entertainment, listen to more about this.
Well, get spun up and anger with the reality shows out there now, with everything as far as the Kardashians and all that other shit that's out there. Anger sells, and the media sees that, and the networks see that. It sold a lot more back when the COVID was going on, and then with Clinton and Trump and all that. I think people are tired of it. But you and I, when we had our coming to Jesus moment, we did. I think it was 6 shows in, and we were at odds as far as, I don't know, the show, which I think it was just COVID just pissed us off. We had so much differing opinions. We had the coming to Jesus moment. It was like, why on earth are we fighting over something stupid as this?
Yes.
And
you saw it with so many things. Like, I remember there was an article that I don't really listen to them, but I know that band Florida Georgia Line. Apparently, one of them is a liberal, one of them is conservative, and they were like about to break up at the height of all this over that. And it's just like, dude, do you know how many bands would love to be at the height of Florida Georgia Line? And you're going to throw that all away because you guys can't agree politically? Like, maybe just don't think about politics and go out and perform and make people enjoy themselves.
Happy. And when we started to do I think you did see a definite change in how the podcast went, where we always wanted to be about persevering and no adversity. But it was difficult at first, and I think from our backgrounds too. I was doing a lot of media at that time, and that media instills you to get angry or to push you in a way that you pick a side. You'd been working with media outlets too. That's
I mean, truthfully, with Will Cow, dude, I love.
Come on,
but is Will Cow angry a lot of the time on air? Yes.
Yeah, and so I think that for us, it was just an adjustment to. We really didn't know what neutral was. Either of us, we really didn't. We had to figure out. Okay, we want to be less adversity, not talk about the news as much, but we still had that habit of going into the news because that's what we'd done I'd been doing it for three years at that point, 4 longer than that, 6 years. That was your, you'd work for Will Cow and then on web. So
although I was doing soft rep too, and I think we did a pretty good job. We got in some news, but also we highlighted interviews with these, amazing people. And I think, you know what it was too, man? It was just like, the truth is, at the very beginning of COVID in New York, you were watching people die left and right. So my reality was a little bit different than yours at the time.
It was, and I was traveling a ton, and I wasn't catching a damn. I mean, it was, and whether it was that way or not, I think their podcast came across so very well because you did see what was going on in New York, and I saw what was going on wherever I was traveling to, and it came to where we weren't really fighting about it anymore. It was, hey guys, this is what's going on. You're getting some real world information from us, but in the meantime, just be happy, get out for a run, go do something. Don't dwell on this shit. Even us with our differences, we are still being positive and doing things to live our lives and trying to better ourselves. So go ahead and do that too. And that's what I tell Robin again, going back to her question.
Yeah.
Don't dwell on this. That sucks. And it sucks that I was with the Dixie State Rebels, Dixie Junior College Rebels. Well, they can't be called the Rebels anymore. Yeah. You know what though? If that's what colleges and high schools are going to do, and whatever their administrators, it feels like they justify themselves, or the politicians in their state, they feel like they've done something great in their lives by changing a mascot name.
Yeah.
So
with the Rebels though, if it's the Confederate flag, I could see it a little bit. Okay.
I loved it because we looked like the Dallas Cowboys, except we were red, white, and blue. We had a big star in our helmet. That's why I loved.
Because I was going to say, I personally, I would say a little bit of certainly a difference between a Native American mascot and a Confederate flag mascot. I can see how people could be like, it's a little dated for now.
There's no Confederate flag. I don't think there's any college team that Rebels where they had a Confederate flag even, but to me, again, I never thought of it I thought of it as a cool name. And I thought the helmet was awesome. Our mascot was a guy in a cowboy suit. I mean, it wasn't like a Confederate flag jumping around he wasn't like a Ku Klux Klan member or something. But
not to say that the Confederate flag is, people have different interpretations of it. I totally get that. I know people from the South, of course, who will fly it proudly and they're not racist or anything, but there's also people who are going to interpret it that way.
Well, you know what? And at Dixie saying that too, we had a lot of African Americans. We had a lot of black players came from Las Vegas. We had a lot of Polynesians. Because really, Dixie at that time, we were a junior college powerhouse. We were ranked second in the nation my first year there, and then we were ranked first in the nation for the majority of the year. My second year there, then we lost a couple games at the end of the year because we got full of ourselves. But I never saw one person complain about being a rebel. Nobody's, oh man, that's a racist. We were all proud to be called Dixie College Rebels. It made no difference. I wrote about it in the Ranger Way. I wrote about it, seeing that oh my God, look at all these different ethnicities. We got farm boys coming in, Mormons coming in from the farm. We got Polynesians, so we got Tongans and Samoans, and we had Tongan Crip gangsters, TCGs, coming in from Salt Lake. Then we had Crips and Bloods coming in from Las Vegas. And it was awesome to see nobody gave a shit what their stuff was. We were a freaking team on the football field. And we were awesome. And just this little Mexican kid come in, they were like, who's this little Wes Welker? But that was where I saw that it's the outside that makes these freaking problems. When people come together as a team, they didn't care, but we didn't care. And you're talking about hardcore gang members. And I asked one of them, I remember asking Chucky, who was a Donna Street Crip in Las Vegas. I was like, dude, because I was curious. This was all new to me. I'm this ignorant kid from Grand Junction, Colorado. And you had a guy named Stacy who was a West Coast Blood he's hardcore blood. Yeah. Chucky, who was one of the best football players I've ever played with. He was a free safety. I think he went Division I somewhere. He was awesome, but he was a Donna Street Crip. They would kill each other on the streets in Vegas. And I remember sitting I like, Chucky, man. I mean, I know no disrespect. And I said, but how do you play with bloods? He goes, yeah, I kill him if I see him on the street. But out here, he goes, I just want to win. It don't matter. I was like, shit. Well, there you go. That's what it needs to be about. It coming together as a team in a place where it just doesn't matter. And that's why I think when we do these things with these mascot issues, we make an issue where there shouldn't be an issue. And we create division when there really wasn't any division on the team already. We didn't have any division. I bet bringing that into the forefront, oh, man, you're a rebel. Oh, I'm sure then it brought division then. But I think we make more problems for ourselves before it's even a problem.
Yeah.
And I saw that experience. That was an awesome experience to see that. That's why when I took that in the military, and the military is even more thorough than that. It doesn't matter. We don't care black, white, red, yellow. We don't care who you are. You wear green. This is what we are. We're in the military and we're a team together. So that was a hell of an experience playing at Dixie. I made a big impression on me, and just seeing all these different people come in and play together, and not one of them gave a shit what ethnicity, what gang affiliation you're with. It didn't make a difference. We just wanted to win. And Chucky's words resonated with me for the rest of my life.
That's cool.
It was an awesome experience playing at Dixie Junior College, and we were the Rebels, but they did change their name. And we didn't have a Confederate flag, guys. And nobody gave a shit. Nobody cared. All
right, I'm going to get to this last one as we wrap things up here. This is from James Abla from Wichita, Kansas. So I know you guys have a new ending song on your podcast, and I'm still catching up on past episodes from 2021. What is the name of the new song? Love your show, and it gives me peace of mind knowing I can listen to your show and just thoroughly enjoy it and enjoy listening to your guest speakers. Keep up the good work, guys. So as I mentioned in the intro, that is Jimmy Allen, and it's just a custom song he did for us. I mean, it's just ours. I think if he put it up on Spotify or something, it would get some listens. But yeah, he's the man. He does a great job, and yeah, we love what he does.
And if you didn't catch the show earlier, buddy, he was a founding member of Puddle of Mud, and so having that's my genre. When I really started to get into music was back then, and to have somebody from Puddle of Mud, one of the original members that wrote those awesome songs, and you can see how amazing a guitarist he is. It's a blessing. It's just honestly, I know him through Ian. Ian's the one that knew him. I didn't know him.
And I just knew him because I was years ago. I was thinking of doing it. I actually wanted to create a documentary on Puddle of Mud, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I just always found them kind of fascinating, and Wes Scantlin's, drug issues and issues with the law. And so I just tracked down some old members, and he was a cool guy. And I was like, let's have him on. And he couldn't have been cooler. So I like when we get to kind of depart and do shows like that aren't always Spec Ops military guys or, we have all different types of people on. So with that, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We definitely need some more reviews. We're slipping in the rankings. It would really help us out. So if you're on that app, just do that. Support our sponsors, of course, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because starting in about April, we're going to try to do some videos. So subscribe to Battleline Podcast on YouTube. It would really help us out, and then you'll get your alerts for when we start doing video. I mean, we have our channel on there, but it's just pictures with the audio. I promise you we're going to figure out how to do video now that I'm at a new place. And anything else from you before we wrap this up?
Oh, no, I just, guys, I follow Jimmy, because there's Jimmy Allen, the country singer, and Jimmy Allen songwriter. So I would recommend if you guys follow Jimmy Allen songwriter and just see how talented he is. He has actually a really good Instagram page, and puts a lot of stuff in. He's playing his guitar. You just see how incredible that guy is. But other than that, guys, don't worry about everything that's going on out there. Just focus on yourself, focus on your family, what you can control, and just get better. This is our opportunities to get better and be better people, stronger, faster, more religious. If you haven't, find some faith. You don't have to be a Christian. As a good Christian, I'm going to tell you, you can believe in anything you want, but believe in something. There is something bigger than us out there. have some faith and just keep grinding through. Things will get better. They do. They always get better as long as we maintain that positive mindset. You can control your attitude. That's the only thing you really can control in life. So control it. Make it the best you can. And be like Ian. Be just as smiley. If you could see his face, he's always smiling, always laughing. Always
I feel like you're usually smiling more than
I smile too, but that's just I just have a perma grin. That's just because I'm old now. I think that's what it is. But God bless you.
And truthfully, man, I'm not always in the best moods. Doing this show puts me in a good mood for sure, man. And getting the emails that we do from you guys.
You do good. I mean, I just said you were a little down last week, and you okay now?
Now I am. Yeah, but that's the whole thing. I think when you say that you and I have persevered, I mean, I also think to make it clear, we're still always persevering.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you always think sometimes like you're on this last chapter and everything is good, but there's always going to be shit that hits you and. It's always a constant struggle for everybody. So that's I don't ever want to present myself as like I've persevered through everything. It's not true at all, man. I mean, I definitely have days where I don't feel great, days where I do feel great, and I mean, I think it's the same for you, right?
That's what makes you stronger. That's just what makes you stronger. Obstacles and adversity makes you stronger when you power through them. If you don't power through them, you don't get stronger. You just have to do it. But don't make problems when there aren't problems. Don't make issues when there aren't issues. I think we do that a lot in America now. I really do. And it's something that we need to stop doing. And the best way to do that is to listen to Battleline podcast. But the other way to do that is just look at what's going on in your life and just improve what's going on in your life and find something you enjoy doing and do that. And maybe try something new, but you got to take that step, just like Ian did with him moving finally. How would he have ever known if he was going to like it or not? And maybe in 2 weeks, he's like, this sucks, I'm going back. But at least he knows. And he took that chance. He stepped out of that doorway into the breeze, and he didn't know if his chute was going to open, but he took that chance anyway. Well, his chute's open.
Although, look, it's not a big move. If I would have moved to Florida, that would have been way more of a chance. But like I said, family, friends, that keeps me grounded. And
it's still something, brother. It's still something you did. And that's what y'all should do. And to our buddy, I'm
gonna have to go back and all.
Tim, gosh,
we're talking about who got a new job, right?
The new job.
That was Scott.
Scott. I keep wanting to say Tim Scott, but be like Scott and take that step. Because you just never know. You never know unless you take that step. Leaders always make decisions. The worst thing you can do is never make a decision. Just not make a decision. I say that when I talk. Always make a decision. You can adjust fire if you make a bad decision. One thing you can't do is if you make no decision, well, you go nowhere. But always make a decision. And that makes you a leader within your own life right there. That's all I got, man. I'm off my soapbox.
That's all for this episode of the Battleline podcast. But we'll be back on Monday with more American straight talk. Until then, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. To sign up for future Battleline tactical courses, go to www.christantoperanto.net. Believe in yourself, face all challenges head on, and as always, never quit.